Today I'm doing the long-awaited review of the 50th anniversary of Wish You Were Here. Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time, and if it is your first time, don't forget to hit like, subscribe and tap that notification bell below. It really does help the channel grow. Today I'm taking a detailed look at the Pink Floyd Wish You Were Here 50th anniversary box set. This isn't an unboxing and it's not hype driven. This is a total honest review from my perspective. This is a considered listen. I've been living with this album since late December. This is now the end of January, and this is from the perspective of someone who already owns multiple pressings of this album. So, without further ado, let's get into it. It's worth pointing out straight away that the remaster of the original album included here is not new. This is the same Bernie Grumman cut which was first issued in 2016. So if you already own that version, there are no fresh revelations when it comes to the core studio album. As good as it is, it still doesn't hold a candle to my 1980 Japanese all-analog half-speed master sound pressing. That Japanese cut is noticeably louder and simply breathes more. It doesn't sound as compressed, and that's immediately obvious from the opening of Shine On You Crazy Diamond. The guitar is more up front, brighter, and has a greater sense of dynamic swing. There's an immediacy that just pulls you straight into the track. By comparison, let's get these out. By comparison, both the 2016 Bernie Grumman cut and this 50th anniversary repress of the same mastering sound quieter, more restrained and ultimately less dynamic to my ears. They're clean and perfectly listenable, but they don't quite have the same impact or life. As always with vinyl, system matching and personal taste play a huge role here. Different cartridges, phono stages, speakers and room acoustics can completely change how these pressings present themselves. So this isn't about declaring a single correct version, it's simply my experience on my system through repeated level matched listening. Next, you really can't discuss the 50th anniversary release without addressing the remix of Shine On You Crazy Diamond. On this remix, all 9 parts have been edited into a single continuous piece, presented on the Rarities 2 record. I went into this with genuinely high expectations, but sadly, it didn't take long for disappointment to set in. From the outset, it's cut noticeably quieter than even the Bernie Grumman remaster. And while the mastering plays a part, the bigger issue for me is the mix itself. The balances feel wrong. Gilmour's opening guitar is pushed further back in the mix, and for a piece that relies so heavily on atmosphere, space and gradual emotional impact, that decision really undermines the introduction. The opening keyboards also seem to have lost much of their dynamic nuance, which makes the whole build feel flatter than it should. What makes this particularly surprising is that the remix was handled by James Guthrie, someone whose work on the Floyd catalogue is usually exemplary. And that's not said lightly, which is exactly why this feels like such an uncharacteristic misstep. By contrast, the original mix works because of its restraint and patience. The guitar guides you in, the keyboards ebb and flow naturally, and the dynamics are allowed to unfold at their own pace. Part of me wonders whether this might have benefited from letting Stephen Wilson loose on it instead. And I say that with some reservation because if you watch this channel, you'll know I'm not a huge fan of all of his remixes. Rick Wright's Wet Dream and Jethro Tull's Thick as a Brick being two examples of remixes that I'm not 100% happy with. That said, at his best, Wilson understands how to preserve emotional weight and internal dynamics. I suspect he may have retained more of the impact of the original Shine On mix, rather than smoothing it out and, to my ears at least, dulling its edge. Right, next we're moving on to the live material. Now, we get live at Wembley 1974, featuring Shine On You Crazy Diamond and You've Gotta Be Crazy. Neither of these performances is new. Both already appeared on the Wish You Were Here Immersion CD box from 2011. Yes, this is the first time they've been issued on vinyl, and that will matter to some collectors, but it still feels like a missed opportunity to me. Although we've had the majority of the Wembley concert released on vinyl via the Dark Side of the Moon Live at Wembley record that was released a little while back, we still haven't been given the complete show in one place, including Raving and Drooling and Echoes. And that's the frustration. We know the full concert exists. It's been circulating unofficially on bootlegs for years. So issuing just 2 tracks here feels oddly conservative for what's meant to be a definitive 50th anniversary release. There's also a sense that this box set wasn't driven directly by the band themselves, obviously following the sale of Pink Floyd's catalogue rights to Sony Music in 2024. This feels more like Sony exercising their ability to officially release material that was previously only available unofficially. That's not necessarily a bad thing for fans. And if this approach continues, it could bode well for the 50th anniversary of Animals in 2027, where there's genuine hope that long-rumoured live material might finally be issued in full. The Live at the Los Angeles Sports Arena recording, originally taped by bootlegger Mike Millard, has been widely available unofficially for years, but the version included here feels genuinely elevated. Edited and remastered by Stephen Wilson, it's been given a level of polish that finally allows it to sit comfortably as an official release. And in my view, he's done a sterling job with this. The performances are excellent, and it's striking how fully formed the material already sounds. Raving and Drooling and You've Gotta Be Crazy are almost recognisable as to what they would later become, Sheep and Dogs, respectively. That makes perfect sense, given that the band had been performing and refining these pieces since 1974. By this point, they'd been living with this music for well over a year. The only aspect of this recording I've never quite got on with is Echoes. This is the same for all the bootlegs of that era, performed as the encore after the Dark Side set. This version replaces Gilmour's first guitar solo with a saxophone solo.
What?
And it's never really sat well with me. Rather than enhancing the piece, it pulls me out of the moment. It suddenly feels less like Pink Floyd and more like I've wandered into a jazz club.
Nice. Great.
Right, before wrapping things up, it's worth touching briefly on the ephemera, I can't pronounce it, the bits and pieces included in the box set. You get a reproduction Nebworth poster, a 1974-75 tour programme, and a replica Japanese 7-inch single of Have a Cigar backed with Welcome to the Machine. The poster and tour programme don't add anything musically, but they're nicely reproduced and work well as period artefacts. They flesh out the visual and historical context around this album, and for collectors, they're attractive enough inclusions. The Japanese 7-inch is slightly different. While it's still a reproduction, it does add something musically, presenting both Have a Cigar and Welcome to the Machine in their original edited single versions, which feels historically appropriate in a set like this. Overall, these items are well done, but they remain nice extras rather than essential inclusions. Welcome additions, but not enough on their own to justify the box. So, what are my final thoughts? In my view, this box set is really aimed at hardcore Pink Floyd fans, the kind of collectors who feel compelled to own everything. It doesn't bring anything genuinely new to the table when it comes to the core album. The 2016 Bernie Grumman remaster is reused here, and the Wembley recordings are material many of us already own, either on vinyl or on CD via the immersion box. The Los Angeles Sports Arena Mike Millard recording is excellent, however, and absolutely worthy of inclusion. In fact, it's that recording I listen to most off this box set. But at around £200, the overall package still feels overpriced for what it is. In essence, a collection of material many fans already have in other forms. The biggest disappointment for me remains the new remix of Shine On You Crazy Diamond parts 1 to 9. Compared with my all-analogue Japanese half-speed master sound pressing, and even the 2016 Bernie Grumman cut, that remix lacks dynamics, sounds woolly and compressed, and is mastered noticeably quieter. Given that the remix was handled by James Guthrie, I expected more, especially after the superb job he and Joel Plant did on the Animals remix. That was truly exceptional. Taken as a whole, this box set has its highlights, but ultimately it feels more like a completionist release than a truly essential 50th anniversary statement. If you've enjoyed this deep dive, let me know your thoughts in the comments, especially if you own this box set or if you've decided to pass on it. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, bye bye.